Multifaceted World 1-3, aka Episode 3, and you will notice that there is another esteemed guest joining me. Ladies and gentlemen, we have UFC legend, but most importantly, True's father, Kenny Florian.
Jason, what's up, man?
Oh, man, I'm just hanging out, doing the best I can, trying to reach out to the people in these crazy times and bring something new to them and just kind of shoot the shit with some of my buddies. And thank you for joining me, man.
Definitely, man.
So, little backstory for you guys out there. Me and Kenny have been buddies for a while, and we always just he brought it up one time, and he's like, do you realize in Rocky IV that he never sparred once before fighting Drago? And I was like, I thought about it, and I was like, oh my God. And I went and watched it, and like, there was no sparring. There was like none whatsoever. He did everything else, but like, no, not even any mitts.
He didn't do one boxing related workout. He just like did abs, like he ran up a mountain. He outran a Mercedes on Rocky IV. I mean, it was just insane.
That's that feels like a Tony Ferguson workout, like, right?
Oh man, yeah, you're right.
Props to El Kukui. So this episode we're just kind of going over like Rocky, and because it was it is the biggest boxing franchise of all time. So me and Kenny would just be kind of going over like a small little bit of lists and having some fun with the franchise. So let's just get started. What's your favorite film of the entire? And you know what? We'll cut it off because I want to give MBJ his fair due. He's the Creed universe. I know it's still in the Rocky universe, but Creed is on its own, so we're not going to count Creed in this. We're going to count up till Rocky Balboa. Even though they shouldn't have made it, it's still in it.
Yeah, and it's tough to do. Like the newer movies, they like learn from the older movies, and everything's updated, and it's a different level right now as far as what they put into a movie and everything from the acting and everything. But yeah, so I agree with that. But the new franchise has been very impressive. But anyways, out of the actual Rocky movies, I would say it's a tough one, man. They're all different. You could address whether it's the acting, the action, the reality of the fight scenes. Did it get you fired up? But I think, as far as the overall package, and I guess it's probably me being sentimental here, Rocky III for me was just the best. I remember it was a little while before it came out, and I was waiting for Rocky III. I heard the rumors as a kid, and Rocky III came out. It was amazing. Mr. T, I was a huge Mr. T fan, and Mr. T was in it. And, yeah, it was just – I felt like, looking back at it, like, from even this perspective, they had some of the coolest montages. I thought you saw Rocky in a way that, like, he got beaten down, right? He had everything go wrong. And I think for me, being an underdog my whole life, obviously all the Rocky movies are great, but seeing him lose and then have to face his own demons and his fear, I can relate to that a lot. And then coming back like he did and getting the win, I just thought it was really cool. I thought it was a very real portrayal of, the process of success in a lot of ways. And that, in the beginning, he had nothing to lose at all. And Rocky was an absolute savage. He was hungry. And then you saw him, he wasn't hungry anymore. He had the success. He had everything he wanted. Yeah. And fear started to creep in. And then he had to kind of come back and fight Clubber Lang in the rematch. And yeah, it was just badass. The whole process of it, I thought was really cool.
Yeah, no, I love that one too. Fun fact, my mom is actually, she's in both of the fight scenes with with her friend. Yeah, she's just like
that's
hanging
so funny.
Yeah,
that's so
like,
cool.
Because my dad was working with some of the fighters back in the days, and those guys Rocky would have them come to set. So it's just like, oh, my mom's like, oh yeah, I was in Rocky III casually. So that's so dope.
So cool. Yeah.
Why I love Rocky III is because, like, for the first two movies, you just thought this man was invincible, and then you just saw him get wrecked by this Ngannou-like character who is just laying it on everybody. But what I really loved about Clubber Lang is the way he chased him. He chased that man everywhere. He was like, Panini Grill, where you at? I want that belt.
He did. It's true, man. He was, and it really was kind of real in that way. And I remember relating to it even as a fighter of like, hey, you can never let your guard down, man. You can't let yourself get too comfortable and get caught up in the fame or the limelight or, you know, the money or anything like that. It's just, you got to stay focused because there's some hungry motherfuckers that are out there to try to hurt you. They literally are out there to not only win, but hurt you. And in the fight game, that's real. I mean, that's real. You could be one punch away from never being the same. So
Yeah, 100%. And another one, Rocky 3, is where we actually learn how to box, right?
yeah, exactly. Legitimately, actually, it was like the first time he learned how to box. So I thought that was really cool. His old buddy, Apollo, who, yeah, you know, he was the rival to Rocky, but you couldn't hate Apollo. Like, you liked him and you kind of wanted them to be friends. And then, you know, Apollo showing up to the gym in Philly and was like, hey, man, you know, let me train you. And it was just a cool dynamic. And eventually, you know, him getting him out of, what was it? Getting him into LA, actually, and then training over there. And Apollo, like, listen, you got to change your style. You got to be fighting like this. You need footwork. Your footwork sucks. Your boxing skills need to be improved. Yeah. And he actually really taught him how to move and how to box. And I thought that was really cool too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a fantastic one. They also have that beach race scene that we always talked about.
Yeah. The most unrealistic scene ever. First of all, Carl Weathers, if you're going to run, make it look like you're sprinting. I mean, Carl Weathers is clearly jogging at the end there. Just Rocky with the worst sprinting technique ever. Just like bobbing his head everywhere, like all over the place. And Carl Weathers just kind of like jogging. So Rocky,
yeah. Like I was in the NFL. Yeah. Don't worry about me. That's amazing.
Exactly. You see, like Carl Weathers just looks like an athlete when he's running. And the dude played in the NFL. He just looks like an amazing athlete. And Rocky Balboa just spazzing all over when he's sprinting. He's not beating a black man in a race. Come on. That is unrealistic.
Oh, my God. You know, that's even when I watch that scene, too, I'm like, I watch it again. I see him powering down. I'm like, damn it, man.
Yeah. Oh, man.
You know, the first you're just like, oh, that's amazing. His perseverance. My favorite is the one right after, man. It's Rocky 4. That
yes.
The stakes were raised. We lost. We lost Mick in yours, but then we lost Apollo in such a brutal fashion that it just kind of made you like, you're like, damn, I really want Rocky. Now you really want Rocky to win. At first, you're just kind of like, you know, because you can see the plight in both guys. Like, how could you claim Clubber Lang as a villain? The dude just wanted to be the champion. Like, that's not really super fair. I mean, some of his tactics were unsavory, but like watching Apollo die, which to this day, anytime I can't listen to James Brown Living in America in its entirety because I think a black man's gonna die.
No, James, don't do it. Don't do it, man. Oh, man. You know, it's funny. Every time I hear that song, though, you can only think about Rocky 4 when Apollo's walking out to his fight and he's having the best time of his life and he's coming back thinking that he's going to beat this, you know, amateur Russian. And again, he kind of had the same fate that Rocky faced in Rocky 3 with Clubber Lang, where he's like, oh, I'm just going to beat this guy. And that was wild, dude. I remember even as a kid, like crying when Apollo died and just being like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, man. Even just the rest of the movie, there was this like serious tone of like, Rocky, man, you better do this. Like, you got to kill this dude. He just killed your best friend. And it was wild. So I think the training montages in Rocky 4, while the songs might be, you know, listen, all the songs, like Eye of the Tiger has got a cheesy, but Rocky 4 is so cool. I don't know what it is. It's just like the training montages, even though he literally didn't do one boxing training session, it was all working out.
Yeah.
It was pretty badass. And him going to Russia and
Yeah.
The training scenes and, the speech after, and him basically like almost dying in the ring that night, against
Yeah.
Ivan Drago. So
Yeah.
yeah, supposedly, Dolph Lundgren, during one of the fight scenes, hit Sylvester Stallone in the chest so hard that I guess it basically affected his heart, where his heart started swelling up. And if he didn't go to the hospital, Sylvester Stallone would have died. I guess Ivan Drago or Dolph Lundgren hit him for real so hard, I guess, during one of the scenes that Sylvester Stallone almost died or something like that. It was
wow.
pretty crazy. Yeah.
That's bananas. I never even knew that. And I'm like a fun fact connoisseur. That's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think everyone else will agree that the third and fourth are just like it's like a pick 'em. With the fighting scenes and the training montages in four. Basically, Rocky IV was one long montage.
It was. It actually was. They got it right. They just like, we're just gonna put some music and have them work out, and everyone's gonna go nuts.
Yeah, and we did. So
and we did. We did.
It worked out. So speaking of, you talked about like Drago, like punching. Who do you think was the best boxer of the entire series? So you got the four guys. Well, I guess let's put Tommy Gunn in there, and
right.
We didn't get to see Union K much, so we're not gonna count him. He got dusted off. But we'll just count the five guys.
Yes. Man. Well, obviously, Tommy Gunn was a professional boxer. He looked good. But as far, there's no excuse for him not to look good. But fighting in a movie is different too, and that's got to be challenging too. But honestly, if you look at Apollo Creed, Carl Weathers, the way that he moved in there for a guy who, was not a professional boxer, I thought he moved extremely well, looked good, looked comfortable, really sold the fact that, he was a guy who could stick and move and can box kind of like a Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of the character they were going for, is kind of to mimic that kind of larger than life Muhammad Ali character.
Yeah.
And I thought he pulled it off pretty damn well. Looking back, you see Sylvester Stallone, not that he was supposed to be the most technical boxer anyway, in the movie, but it wasn't the same. You know what I mean? You could see that Carl Weathers actually looked like a professional athlete who could move, who knew his body, and I thought he sold a lot of those scenes extremely well, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was Drago, because if you watch the limited fight scenes that he has, the way he's throwing the 1-2s at Rocky, I was like, okay, that man did some homework.
And he actually was a professional kickboxer too. So
that makes sense.
So he definitely sold the part for sure. Could hit. It looked like he could hit hard as hell, and his training scenes too was really cool. The dude was massive, and man. So I tried to leave those guys out of there because they're actual fighter. Like they had some experience, but absolutely, Dolph Lundgren looked damn good.
Yeah, I didn't know he was like a kickboxer. I just knew he was like crazy smart. Like he's like a brilliant guy, like brain wise, but. The dude's like, turns out he's the total package, which is pretty tight.
Yeah.
But so like we talked about Rocky IV and all the montage scenes. Which one of those in the entire series amps you up the most? I found YouTube University is the best place in the world, because someone painstakingly put together a 25-minute video of all of them, and I watched them, and I was like, damn, there's some really good stuff in here, but my favorite still was there, and I was like, nah. That made me want to work out right there on the spot. Yeah. And I was like, okay.
That's awesome.
But what was yours?
Out of all the Rockies, or just out of the Rocky IV one?
Let's just go all the Rockies. Yeah.
Okay, all the Rockies. Jeez, man. Geez, that's a tough one, man. They're all so good. I mean, the Rocky IV one is amazing. When he finally gets to the top of the mountain and he's like, Drago!
Yeah.
You're just fired up. He's ready to fight. That was super cool. Honestly, if I'm being real honest, I remember, is it Rocky 2 where Adrian's in the hospital?
Uh-huh.
And yeah, okay, I always mix it up. So she's in the hospital. She's like in a coma for a little while, and she's on the hospital bed, and this is what kicks it all off. And she like tells Rocky, she's like, come closer, and he's like, gets closer. She's like, come a little closer, and she tells him, she goes,
Win. Win.
What are we waiting for? Take this!
and he goes out there and he just starts training and just like, yes.
Yeah.
I get emotional every time I see that. I'm just
Yeah.
like, dude, that is amazing. And she kind of was like this quiet force throughout all the Rockies, where like she kind of would bring him back to reality and being like, she would motivate him. You know, remember the speech even on the beach where she's like, what's the matter with you, Rock? And he's like, I'm afraid, okay? I'm the first time in my life, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
So like, she like brings the fighter out of him a lot. You don't really realize it, but it's cool. Like, you know, and that's true. Like, you have someone you love or someone who you fight for. Like, there's nothing more motivating than that. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh man, that brings kind of chills is when I remember that scene, because as soon as she says "win," that bell rings.
Yeah, exactly.
You just oh yes, I'm about to go down.
It's so sick.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And then like speaking of Adrian, you know, like in Rocky 4, where she literally was just like, you can't win.
Right. You can't win, right? I know. That's the craziest thing is like, you know, and then there's you see the times during a fighter's career where obviously, you know, maybe they're past their prime, or, you know, they're not sure if they want to do it anymore, if they're not sure they could beat that next guy or whatever it is. You see the battles that like Rocky went through, and like now you have someone who supported you throughout that time telling you like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're going to get killed. Like, he just killed your friend. Like, what are you doing? And Rocky knew that he had to do it. Like, he's like, I might die. And he knew that. He was well aware of that, but he was willing to do it anyway. Which I think, you know, I can definitely relate to that in a way. I remember when I fought Sean Shirk, I had maybe 7 fights or something like that on my record. And this dude had 40, almost 40. And he was an absolute beast. The dude was jacked to the gills, like just probably on all the medicine and all the vitamins. And I remember I walked out in a samurai outfit because literally in my head, I was like, listen, I know I'm outgunned. I know I don't have all the weapons that I need right now in my career, but I'm going to go out there like I'm prepared to die. And that's like, sometimes you got to face your fears. And I kind of remember that fight when I think about Rocky 4 and that scene, you know.
Yeah, that's crazy. For those of you who don't know, Google Sean the Muscle Shark shirt. You don't get a nickname, the Muscle Shark.
What was that? The Muscle Shark. Crazy.
What a nickname.
Yeah.
But my favorite montage was I'm trying to pick the 3 that they had in Rocky 4, and I'm just gonna, when he says he's cut, the Russian's cut, and you hear like the
he's human, he can bleed. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
As soon as I hear those and I'm like, okay, where's an elliptical? Let me do some push-ups. Like, you just want to sweat, because like that's when they started going hammer.
Few cheers now for Rocky Balboa. Rocky! Suddenly, Moscow is pro-Rocky. No pain. Keep taking it on. It's fine. It's hard. No pain.
Absolutely. That's when he made the comeback. That's when he realized that the dude was human and he could bleed. Like, the whole fight changed.
Yep. And that gave everyone at home like, oh, like
He's
everyone
coming
felt.
back.
We all felt like Paulie when he was putting his hand on the top of his head.
Exactly. Exactly.
Everyone, that's how we all felt. But that's so
Absolutely.
crazy how those movies, like, how I'm impressed by Stallone because he's just your brick and mortar guy. He looks like a manager at a Lowe's, and he
Yeah.
sat down and he wrote out this entire series, which like goes to show
It's
you
crazy.
that just an idea. Like, you don't have to be classically trained. You don't have to go to NYU. It's good to have all that education, but
Right.
all you have to do is have a great idea and commitment, man. People understand.
Absolutely, man. You know, passion and love for what you do is everything, man. If you
Yeah.
love it, why not? Why can't you do it? You know, this dude, Sylvester Stallone, I think he wrote the script in 3 days. He wrote
Yeah.
that script in 3 days and went behind it. They're like, listen, man, you don't have the experience. He's like, cool movie, but we can't have you in this. We need to find someone else who has better acting chops and blah blah blah. They were looking at way bigger actors for this. And in the end, he's like, you know what? Fine. He's like, you pay me. I think he got paid the SAG, just the regular SAG fee for showing up every day.
Yeah.
And he got $20,000 for the script, and he just got like a regular SAG acting fee. He didn't get like a big contract or anything like that. And I mean, the rest is history. He ended up getting. Well, he got the Oscar, right? Didn't he get an Oscar for
he got an
best
Oscar.
movie or something?
Yeah,
It's
got an
insane.
Oscar. Best picture.
That's so amazing, dude. And then Rocky 2 was probably one of the best sequels in cinematic history. You know, like amazing.
Absolutely.
Rarely do you see a redo or a part 2 that's that good, and then you see 3 and 4. Like what he was able to accomplish with that whole series, dude, is just unbelievable.
Yeah, and you can see where he was going with 5 and trying to kind of pass the torch off. And 6 was like, okay, somebody in the executive office was like, what properties do we have?
Let's just push this to the absolute. And how much juice can we squeeze out of this? Because Rocky movies make a lot of money. We got to do this again.
It's true, because there's guys like us. There's guys like us. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I guess Sylvester Stallone but I guess he wrote in Rocky 3 and Rocky 4 that he was supposed to die like after the fight or something like that, or during the fight or something crazy. Like he actually wrote it in the script, and they filmed it, or they did another like take or a cut. And finally, I guess someone stepped in and was like, dude, we can't have you die in this movie. Like, no, like it's not going to happen. Because that's how we wanted to end it, you know, like, all right, that's it for the Rocky movies. But of course, business side comes in.
They were like, yeah, about that. There's
I see 11 more Rocky movies.
Yeah,
you'll be fighting till you're 80. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You're gonna die at the end. We're gonna have Whoopi Goldberg put some magic dust on you. You're gonna come back. The 90s, Whoopi Goldberg was saving everybody, so she would have came in. No, baby, you can't die. Mick says you gotta live. And we'd have been like, all right, Whoopi.
90s Whoopi Goldberg. That's hilarious.
But dude, that is so. You're so right. I kind of wish that God, they were shooting, and I think he kind of got his wish at the beginning of Rocky 5 when he was in the shower and his hands were shaking and whatnot, and like he was like, like going through it. Dude. If they had ended the franchise that way and just made him like a coach, you know what, man? I'm gonna go on record. Rocky 5 wasn't as bad as everyone says it was. No. It's just not. You just can't compare it to what they did in the other ones. And the cinematography was different, so that kind of throws everyone off when you change the way it's shot, and everyone's like, oh, what is this? This is a whole new, like, I don't like new things. But I didn't really mind it. You had your Don King character in there.
Absolutely, dude. And it told the real side of this of the fight game, where it's just like the ugliest side, the most brutal side of the fight game is all the shit that happens outside of the ring, like where you get some scummy manager who's trying to take advantage of you and like taking all your money, or like stealing him from another manager, another coach, or whatever, you know. So yeah, I thought it showed kind of the ugly side of fighting in a way which is very real in boxing, very real in MMA, and you know, I thought that was cool, and the street fighting scene was pretty dope too, man.
Yeah, how could you be
Yeah,
mad
yeah.
at that? Like
Back
they
in
were
the day,
going
I
at
loved
it.
it.
Yeah.
I loved it, dude. Yeah.
Sue me for what?
Yeah. Sue me for what?
Can't be mad at that.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned the boxing and MMA because the last question I wanted to ask was how do you think Rocky would have done in the UFC? And you could put him in any weight class that you want to
Right.
do, and we don't have to
Right.
because Rocky
Man,
versus
you know
Stipe
what?
just
Here's the thing. I mean, we just witnessed it this weekend. All right, let's talk about Tony Ferguson. Okay,
yeah
he's not the most technical dude. He's not the most skillful guy, but he's got a chin from hell, and he believes in himself, and he's got heart for days.
yeah
And you can go pretty damn far if you have those things, And I think, Tony Ferguson is kind of like a Rocky character. Frankie Edgar could be like a Rocky character, smaller than everybody. But, man, he found a way to win, and he would always come back. And, why not? Why couldn't he be a champion, especially in the earlier days, when the skill level wasn't as perhaps high or something like that, But he could definitely, I think that's what made him so endearing to everybody was like, Rocky, he couldn't box. He couldn't even sell the fact that he could box. But the dude had heart. He was a hardworking guy. He believed in himself, and I think that's what makes everybody so fired up. You're like, man, if that guy can do it, why can't I do it? Why can't I go out there and do my thing? And whatever it is that you want to do. So I think, he kind of epitomized, the underdog fighter, and I think we definitely have examples of that even in today's mixed martial arts game.
Yeah, absolutely. And the guy that I think that I was thinking about, and I was like, wow, he just fought this past weekend. And it's Justin Gaethje,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Man would go through hell to get to heaven, which is it's just crazy. I've seen that man take when he took that uppercut at the end of round 2 against Ferguson, I was like, okay, this is where, so round 3 is going to come out and get some bows. But no, he course corrected, adjusted, and came out and threw some missiles. And I was like, oh, that is very Balboa, to get knocked down. And
100%, dude. I'm glad you mentioned Gaethje. He's a perfect example of that. Again, it's not like he's got all these crazy skills that he brings into the octagon, but he does the same thing. You know exactly what he's going to do, and man, he's hard to stop. He's got an amazing chin, amazing will to win, and there's a lot of people out there that say I'm willing to die in the octagon, or I'm willing to die in the ring. Gaethje actually means it. Ferguson means it too. There's no doubt about it. But Gaethje, I mean, he's as real as it gets, dude. That dude is 100% authentic, and when he says he's willing to die to fight and win, he actually is. He has no problem getting knocked out himself, and I think that's what makes him so beloved by all the MMA fans all over the world.
Yeah, he's a monster, and congrats to him for winning that title. So that was me and Ken Flo going over just our retrospective of Rocky. That was a good time. It's funny because so I was polling a couple friends, and we were talking about what our favorite ones. Everyone kind of stopped on 3 and 4, even while touching on saying, hey, 1 and 2 are fantastic, giving you some great moments. But as far as when it comes down to fighting and the whole how it made you feel, it was 3 and 4. That one made you get up and cheer, and I think it's because it's raising the stakes, and they had 2 major deaths of characters in those movies that made you kind of you're like, oh.
That's true, and it's funny because 1 and 2, I think, definitely has probably the best acting, the best script, the best storyline, all that stuff. But 3 and 4, I think it strikes that emotional chord where you're you get fired up, especially as a kid, and you're like, oh, it's the best, man.
Yeah. So you want to tell the people where what you're doing, I know you got the Anik and Florian podcast, which is still going on. It's still you guys definitely tune in if you want your MMA news. Anik and Kenny are 2 of the best in the biz, and they always have guests and huge insights. I usually text Kenny about my MMA picks. I'm gonna start that again. We'll be back, but tell the people what you're working on and how they can find you.
Yeah, thanks, man. You guys can check out the Anik and Florian podcast. We record every Monday. you guys can check that out anywhere where you can find a podcast, on iTunes, of course, and also we're on YouTube now. And let's see, I'm going to be filming BattleBots this summer for Discovery Channel. So we were supposed to film in April, and all of a sudden, I guess this pandemic, I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's been going on. So we had to cancel that. Yeah, so just been doing a bunch of different things, man. I've just been teaching a lot at Meraki Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and in Brentwood and here in LA. And yeah, just waiting to get open there too, man. Just hoping to get back to teaching and yeah, that's it. You guys can check me out on my social media at Kenny Florian on Twitter or Instagram. And yeah, man, thanks so much for having me and talking about this. This is always a good time.
Yes, I figured, why just shake it up a little bit, talk about something a little different than MMA. But
Hell yeah.
thank you for joining me, my man. Hug the family and stay well. And I'll be talking to you soon for those picks for the upcoming cards.
Absolutely, brother. Same to you.
All right, brother. Thank you all for tuning in for Multifaceted. I'll see y'all soon.